And then we also want to talk about Sam Seder on the Sitch and Adam show discussing Jimmy Dore, who keeps dodging this debate, even after challenging, quote unquote, anybody to a debate.
Well, Joe Biden is a bigger fascist than Donald Trump, and I'll debate anybody on that. That's just a fact, but I'll debate anybody on that.
He seemingly will not debate literally anyone. So that's pretty funny. This was pretty funny. Sam Seder went on Sitch and Adam, which was cool to watch. I did check out that debate. There's been a lot of really good debates happening lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I was just thinking about it the other day. There's been a lot of awesome engagement and discourse going on. I tweeted this out just because I was thinking about it. We had Sam Seder versus Actual Justice Warrior. That was a crazy debate, by the way. Sam Seder absolutely fucking destroyed Actual Justice Warrior. I highly recommend you guys watch that debate. It was pretty glorious to see Sam Seder in top form. We had Crystal and Kyle versus Sitch and Adam. Zach and I debated Sitch and Adam. Sam Seder debated Sitch and Adam. Cenk Uygur just debated Patrick Bet-David. We just debated Vosh. David Pakman just debated Vivek Ramaswamy. It just seems like there's a lot of really good engagements going on right now, a lot of good discourse happening. And that just really begs the question, why the hell is Jimmy Dore not accepting Kyle Kulinski or Sam Seder's challenges to debate? Among others, by the way, Ben Burgis chimed in the comments being like, by the way, I also challenged Jimmy to debate. So there's 3 high profile lefties that all accepted Dore's offer. He said he would debate anyone on the subject of Trump being a better president than Joe Biden, and so far has not accepted any of the requests to debate, or rather not even requests to debate, but people just accepting his invitation. He said, I'll debate anyone. And then multiple people stepped up to the plate. Jimmy's, hiding, scared, as we predicted. But Sam Seder did talk a little bit about this, plus his original encounter with Dore on the Sitch and Adam show. Did you get a chance to check this out, Zach?
I saw that. Yes, I saw this clip that they did. I did not watch the entire stream that they did, although I might go back and check it out. It was a good discussion. I don't have we don't have a ton of political ground with Adam and Sitch, as we discovered in our last kind of debate with them. But they are competent interviewers. They do a good job over there. So I was excited to see that Sam Seder was going to go on. And yeah, this entire rest hour, whatever, hour and a half that we have left going on this stream is going to be a hypocrisy burn after hypocrisy burn after hypocrisy burn of Jimmy Dore himself. Because he makes it so goddamn easy. Makes it so easy. He'll come out and say, I'll debate anybody. He says, does anybody know how to do what is it called? A controversial interview? I do.
An adversarial interview.
Adversarial.
I do.
Adversarial interview. I do. Oh, actually, I'm not qualified to talk about this thing that I fucking jerk myself off and scream at the TV about all fucking day.
Yeah. So let's check this out.
Well, that was my question. When is the Jimmy Dore debate? I saw you give him a hard time on Twitter, Sam. What happened there?
I don't know if you know the history of Jimmy and I don't have too much time to go into it. But in 2016, when he was on the Young Turks, he did an episode of a show. I can't remember what they called it. It wasn't the Young Turks. It was some other show that he was doing with some other Young Turks people. Mm-hmm. And he said, there's nothing wrong with Peter Thiel on the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court does a joke, and the Democrats will be able to filibuster just like the Republicans did. And I sent him an email the night before, and I said, I saw the clip, and I said, hey, I'm gonna talk about this clip because I think you're wrong on about 5 different things here. And if you want to come on and talk about it, let's come on. Because I wasn't friends with Jimmy, but it's a courtesy in my mind.
Sure.
And he said, no, go to town. He's too busy. And I start to do it, and he calls into the show. We have open lines, and he called in. And so we began a debate where he clearly didn't know what a filibuster was. He did not know why the Republicans were able not to give Merrick Garland a hearing. And assumed that the Democrats could do it. He was giving, in my mind, Democrats too much credit for being able to stop a potential Trump Supreme Court pick. I said, what happens if we get 3 Supreme Court nominees? He said something to the effect of like, what happens if the moon falls in Lake Michigan? I mean, the guy was wrong about everything. And I specifically remember Michael Brooks, who was far more generous person than I am towards people, IMing me saying, don't go for the neck on Jimmy. And I didn't. I mean, I tried to, within, certain constraints, not go after him too hard. Although what he was saying was complete gibberish, nonsense, ridiculousness, stupidity. And he said, let's have you come back on my show. We'll talk about it. And then he ghosted me after that.
Wow.
And by the way, I remember all of this happening. To be honest, I was actually more on the side of Jimmy Dore at the time. And I remember being really embarrassed watching that debate because I was like, Jimmy Dore is making this position sound terrible. If you guys remember this debate, he was totally downplaying the threat that a Republican takeover of government represented. And like I said, I also voted third party in 2016. After Bernie Sanders got screwed out of the election, I just couldn't bring myself to vote for Hillary. So I did vote for Jill Stein. And that was what Jimmy Dore was advocating doing. But Sam Seder was like, well, aren't you concerned at all about the fact that Trump could appoint, 3 Supreme Court justices, for instance, something that literally happened, Sam was 100% right about happening. And Jimmy Dore just was like, oh yeah, that could happen. And the moon could fall into Lake Michigan, just being like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Which is ridiculous. Like, you don't have to downplay the threat of Republicans and how fucking evil they are in order to advocate voting third party. And I hate when people do that. I think it's really dishonest. And I think it gives the third party movement a bad name and a bad look. It makes it seem unserious, especially when your analysis is just that off.
Completely. I think that that's totally fair. I also think it's important to point out that Jimmy Dore only has one debate move besides running away, which is his primary debate move. If he decides that he's going to stick it out, he has one tactic that he goes for, and that's to give you the whole like, oh, is water wet? Is the moon going to fall in Lake Michigan? It's like, oh, so you don't have anything. You don't have anything. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just going to say complete hokum and try and pretend that it's so obvious that you're right that you don't even have to debate. That is like the most clear sign of an idiot I've ever seen in my entire life, of like a fucking chauvinist, like a charlatan, a guy that has no idea what he's actually doing, but just wants to throw a tantrum and be right. Yeah.
And again, it's important for people, in my opinion, that support the third party movement like myself to not underplay or downplay the threat of the Republicans, and honestly to acknowledge the fact that they are the greater evil. That doesn't mean you can't support third party candidates. I do, and I do reject the duopoly. I reject lesser evilism. And I think the duopoly is worth protesting, but I'm not out here acting like, oh, if the Republicans take over for 4 years, it'll be no big deal. Everything will be fine. No, of course not. If the Republicans take over again, that'll be absolutely terrible. Not that it's great with the Democrats involved, not at all. But it's fair to acknowledge that it'll be even worse if Trump takes back over and potentially gets even more Supreme Court picks. And that's not something we have to deny in order to advocate for third party voting.
So I do not think that Jimmy's interested in debating me. It's been 7 years, I think, since then. So.
Well, I still swear to Sitch that Jimmy's going to come back on the show, but Sitch doesn't seem to think so. So
I don't.
Sitch did go for the jugular.
Open a bottle of scotch and see if that attracts him.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Well,
I like it.
Well,
thanks. We can try that.
Well, thank you for coming on, Sam. You've been very generous with your time.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy to do this again, and again, it will be. I think we would.
We'll definitely take you up on that, Sam, and we will give you notes and all the links.
And again, for all my disagreements with Sam, we've literally debated the guy on the Vanguard about some of our disagreements. I really do respect the fact that he is not afraid to show up and debate. This dude will basically debate anyone. And that's why he's been, trying to chase down Jimmy for all these years, right? He's not afraid. So I would love to see that debate happen. I honestly doubt that it ever will, knowing Jimmy, but we're going to keep advocating and keep pressuring Jimmy, make him stay true to his promise that he would debate anyone?
He won't. Jimmy Dore doesn't want to debate anybody. He only wants to have his good friends. Oh yeah, man. I'm gonna beat you up. Well, actually, my brother is, man. You better fucking watch out for that guy. Okay, he's gonna mess you up if you fuck with me, bro. Okay, my pal over here, dude. Yeah, fuck off. It's the kind of attitude that Jimmy gives, right? Like he's the like shrimpy guy that carries around like the muscle with him, because he's got a big mouth and otherwise, would spend a lot of time getting chucked in dumpsters. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, and shout out to you, Brian. Thanks for the 199. Dore avoiding debates hasn't hurt his popularity. Clearly not, Brian. And I mean, that's why a lot of people don't engage in debates, because they're just like, if I engage in one and fuck up and look stupid, then that's always going to follow me around. People are never going to forget about it. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely the easier thing to do, to just not engage with your critics, not engage with people who disagree with you, and kind of just stay in your safe space. And that's what Jimmy Dore has absolutely constructed for himself, a total fucking safe space.
But I'll debate anybody on that.